from $999 to $50,000 in 5 decades. That's the actual value increase of one Japanese motorcycle on our list today. Here are 10 Japanese sport motorcycles whose values have absolutely exploded. 1985 Honda VF1000R. In 1984, Honda unveiled what should have been its crowning achievement in motorcycle engineering, the VF1000R. This technological tour de force packed a potent V4 engine producing 130 horsepower and 63.7 pound-feet of torque, numbers that placed it firmly among the elite superbikes of the era. Yet somehow this flagship model never quite captured riders' hearts like Honda had hoped. The culprit? That impressive spec sheet came with a significant drawback: weight. Tipping the scales at a substantial 520 pounds, the VF1000R found itself outmaneuvered by nimbler competitors. Much like the Kawasaki GP-Z 900R and Yamaha FJ1100. Much like a heavyweight boxer with devastating punching power but slower footwork, the Honda's raw strength couldn't overcome its bulk in the corners. Motorcyclists of the day often chose these lighter alternatives despite the Honda's power advantage. What many overlooked, however, was the sheer technological sophistication beneath the VF1000R's distinctive full fairing. Honda equipped it with advanced gear-driven double overhead cams, a sophisticated suspension featuring 41mm forks with the innovative track anti-dive system, and race specification braking that utilized dual 4-piston calipers mounted on floating rotors. The bike represented Honda's engineering prowess in its most concentrated form. When introduced to American buyers in 1985, the VF1000R commanded a premium price of $5,698. Today, well-preserved examples can fetch up to $13,000 on the collector market, nearly triple their original cost. This remarkable appreciation isn't just about inflation. It represents a growing recognition of this model's historical significance. Interestingly, many VF1000Rs have survived in exceptional condition precisely because they weren't ridden extensively. Even motorcycling legend Malcolm Smith owned an example with just 795 miles on the odometer, a testament to how many buyers treated these machines more as technological marvels to be preserved than motorcycles to be ridden hard. 1986 Suzuki GSX R1100. While some motorcycles survive by being too refined to enjoy, Suzuki took a radically different approach in 1986. The GSX R1100 wasn't built to be admired. It was engineered to be ridden at the absolute limit, introducing a lightweight design philosophy that fundamentally rewrote the sport bike rulebook. At the heart of this revolution was the GSX R1100's aluminum frame, a technological breakthrough that slashed weight while maintaining rigidity. This frame reduced overall weight by nearly 80 pounds compared to its competitors, letting riders flick the bike into corners with unprecedented ease. Powered by a muscular 1052cc oil-cooled inline-4 churning out 125 horsepower and 76 pound-feet of torque, this lightweight missile could blast past 150 miles per hour, performance figures that seemed almost unbelievable for a production motorcycle at that time. What made the GSX-R truly special wasn't just raw speed, but how it delivered it. Its engineering brilliance created handling so precise and immediate that riders literally spoke of having to recalibrate their brains to comprehend just how capable a street-legal motorcycle could be. A machine that changed motorcycling forever, yet one that few examples survived in original condition. Ironically, the GSX R1100's accessibility became part of its undoing as a collectible. The relatively affordable price of $4,999 meant they were purchased by everyday enthusiasts who rode them hard, raced them harder, and modified them extensively. While this demographic approach to performance helped cement the model's legendary status, it also meant that unmolested examples became increasingly rare. The bike's race-inspired aerodynamics weren't just for show. On racetracks around the world, The GSX R1100 dominated production racing classes, taking the top 8 positions in national championships and making its mark at prestigious events like the Isle of Man TT. Yet despite these competitive credentials, many critics initially dismissed the bike as too track-focused and radical for street use. Those criticisms seem quaint today, as pristine examples now command up to $15,000, triple their original price. The market has finally recognized what forward-thinking riders knew all along. The GSX R1100 wasn't just another Japanese sport bike, but the DNA blueprint from which all modern superbikes would eventually evolve. 1983 Honda CX650T. Evolution isn't always a straight line, and while the GSX-R blueprint lives on in today's superbikes, Honda took a completely different path in the early 1980s. When the US government imposed hefty tariffs on motorcycles over 700cc, manufacturers had to get creative. Honda's solution wasn't to simply build smaller motorcycles, it was to compress more power into less displacement through forced induction. The CX650T emerged as Honda's technological response to these market pressures in 1983. Its development came during a challenging period when the Reagan administration had imposed substantial tariffs on larger motorcycles to protect domestic manufacturers. In this restrictive trade environment, forced induction offered a revolutionary way to maintain performance while avoiding tax penalties. The 647cc V-twin engine generated a remarkable 100 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. Output that put it in direct competition with motorcycles sporting much larger engines. This performance came from an aggressive 19 psi turbocharger system that transformed this middleweight into a veritable rocket. Despite its engineering brilliance, the bike struggled commercially. Priced at a steep $4,898 in 1983, the CX650T arrived just as the brief turbo motorcycle fad was fading. Its commercial failure stemmed from both unfortunate timing and the bike's technical complexity. The CX650T's unique horizontally opposed V-twin configuration gave it a distinctive profile, while its comprehensive turbocharging system provided the power enthusiasts craved. However, this technological ambition introduced significant reliability challenges, with electrical and mechanical issues requiring extensive repairs that made ownership demanding for all but the most dedicated mechanics. Honda manufactured only about 1,700 CX650Ts worldwide, with approximately 1,200 making it to North America. This scarcity, combined with the bike's significance as a bold engineering response to trade restrictions, has transformed it from commercial disappointment to prized collector's item, with its value today reaching upwards of $15,000. 1987 Suzuki RGV 250. From Honda's turbocharged experiment, we turn to a motorcycle that achieved legendary status through pure racing DNA. While emissions regulations were beginning to sound the death knell for two-stroke motorcycles, Suzuki's RGV 250 emerged in the late 1980s as perhaps the purest expression of Grand Prix technology ever offered to the public. The RGV 250, a street-legal Grand Prix bullet, featured a 249cc two-stroke V-twin engine pumping out 49 horsepower at 10,000 RPM. With an astonishing power-to-weight ratio achieved through a dry weight of just 128 kilograms or 282 pounds. This created a motorcycle that behaved unlike anything else available to everyday riders. Lightning-quick throttle response paired with razor-sharp handling, all at an original price of $3,600. The racing bloodline was undeniable. Suzuki intentionally designed the RGV 250 to mirror their 500cc Grand Prix machines, complete with an aluminum beam frame that provided exceptional rigidity while keeping weight minimal. The distinctive banana swing arm wasn't just for show. It was directly influenced by the company's racing development program. Later models received fully adjustable suspension and upside-down forks that further blurred the lines between race and street machinery. Kevin Schwantz's success on the Suzuki RGV 500 in Grand Prix racing created a halo effect for the street-legal 250, with many enthusiasts purchasing the smaller bike to capture a taste of that championship-winning pedigree. Riding the RGV 250 delivered the thrill of piloting a genuine GP machine on public roads, an experience akin to driving a Formula One car to the grocery store. The bike's racing credentials extended beyond its inspiration. The RGV 250 proved remarkably successful in production racing classes, confirming its genuine engineering excellence. Models like the N variant with their twin piggyback exhaust cans became instantly recognizable icons of the two-stroke era. Today, these revolutionary design elements have transformed the RGV 250 into one of the most sought-after motorcycles among collectors worldwide, valued at up to $19,000. 1992 Honda CBR 900RR Fireblade. As two-strokes were enjoying their heyday, one engineer at Honda was quietly questioning the very fundamentals of superbike design. While conventional wisdom dictates that more power meant more weight, Tadao Baba had a revolutionary vision. What if a superbike could combine open-class power with the nimble handling of a middleweight? In 1992, Baba's vision materialized as the Honda CBR 900RR Fireblade, a motorcycle that sent shockwaves through the industry. With an original price tag of around $7,900, few could have predicted that pristine examples would eventually command up to $25,000 on today's collector market. The Fireblade's approach challenged every convention. While Kawasaki and Suzuki sought power through displacement, Baba focused on his total control philosophy. Like a surgical scalpel in an era of sledgehammers, the 893cc inline-4 engine produced 122 horsepower while weighing just 454 pounds, creating a power-to-weight ratio that competitors couldn't comprehend. This weight reduction mandate shaped every element. The aluminum twin spar frame saved crucial ounces, while the engine positioning optimized mass centralization. Even the controversial 16-inch front wheel, despite stability concerns from traditionalists, enhanced the bike's remarkable agility. "I felt like I was riding something from the future," recalled veteran motorcycle journalist Kevin Ash after his first test ride. "It responded to input so immediately that my entire understanding of superbike handling had to be recalibrated." Road testers were universally astonished by its cornering capabilities. The Fireblade turned so quickly and precisely that experienced riders discovered an entirely new definition of what large displacement motorcycles could achieve. The industry impact was seismic and enduring. Competitors returned to their drawing boards as their heavier superbikes became instantly outdated. The Fireblade's philosophy, emphasizing power-to-weight ratio over raw horsepower, transformed sports bike development forever, establishing a blueprint that manufacturers still follow today. 1980 Honda CB1100R. While the Fireblade would later showcase Honda's commitment to lightweight design, back in 1980 they were playing an entirely different game. The CB1100R emerged as Honda's calculated answer to a simple question: how do you dominate production racing after years of losses to Japanese rivals? Their solution wasn't subtle. Build a purpose-specific machine that prioritized raw power over nimble handling. The CB1100R's massive proportions, a 235-kilogram dry weight with a stretched 1490mm wheelbase, created a motorcycle that sacrificed agility in tight corners for exceptional stability at high speeds. Based on the CB900F platform, Honda engineers completely transformed it with a bored engine displacing 1062cc, featuring a nearly square 70 by 69mm bore and stroke configuration that helped it produce 120 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, all at a low price of $699. Race-focused details define the CB1100R's purpose. Four precisely tuned 33mm K-Hin carburetors fed the engine, while the hand-beaten aluminum fuel truck held an enormous 26 liters of fuel, specifically designed for endurance racing demands. The solo seat configuration and rear set foot pegs reinforced its track-focused identity rather than road-going comfort. Each technical choice contributed directly to its racing dominance. The powerful engine provided straight-line speed, while the substantial fuel capacity ensured fewer pit stops during endurance events. These advantages translated into tangible results when Wayne Gardner and Andrew Johnson piloted the CB1100R to victory in the prestigious Castrol 6-hour race in 1980, with Gardner repeating the triumph in 1982. Victories that established the machine's formidable racing pedigree. Honda produced just 4,050 CB1100Rs across 3 distinct model variations, the RB, RC, and RD, each with subtle but significant differences in fairing design, wheel specifications, and technical refinements. These variations have become crucial points of investigation for today's collectors, who analyze each detail when determining whether its current $25,000 value is justified. 1970 Kawasaki H1R. Those variations of the CB1100R seem downright common when compared to our next motorcycle. Just as Honda was racing to set production records with their air-cooled giants, Kawasaki was taking exclusivity to an entirely different level with the H1R. Developed from a street bike so dangerous it earned the nickname Widowmaker, Kawasaki engineers somehow transformed this lethal machine into a purpose-built racing motorcycle, and did it with fewer than 50 units ever produced. The H1R emerged in 1970 as the racing evolution of Kawasaki's infamous H1 Mach 3 street bike. Like a phoenix rising from the flames, the track version channeled the street bike's terrifying power delivery into competitive success. Its 498cc 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine generated 75 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, staggering output for a motorcycle of that era, especially considering its featherweight 286-pound dry mass. Engineering a competitive race bike from the H1 platform required Kawasaki's designers to overcome multiple challenges simultaneously, maintaining thermal harmony across 3 air-cooled cylinders while compensating for the machine's high center of gravity that compromised handling at race speeds. The H1R's most visually distinctive feature was its unusual crossover exhaust header system. This wasn't merely an aesthetic choice. It was the only practical solution for maintaining performance while ensuring adequate cornering clearance on the track. These twisted pipes became the signature visual element of a motorcycle that would soon make its mark in international competition. The H1R's racing credibility was cemented in 1970 when rider Ginger Molloy piloted it to a second-place finish in the 500cc World Championship, demonstrating that Kawasaki's 2-stroke triple could effectively challenge much larger 4-stroke machines on the world stage. With its original price tag of just $999 in 1970, the H1R represents perhaps the most dramatic value appreciation in vintage motorcycle history. Today, the extreme rarity and historical significance of these machines have pushed auction prices beyond $50,000, a staggering 50-fold increase that reflects both its scarcity and its role in helping establish 2-stroke dominance in Grand Prix racing. 1975 Kawasaki KR250. If you think appreciating 50-fold is impressive, wait until you learn about a motorcycle that wasn't even available to the public in the first place. The Kawasaki KR250 represents racing royalty in its purest form. A purpose-built Grand Prix machine featuring one of the most innovative engine designs in motorcycle history. What made the KR250 so revolutionary was its unique tandem twin configuration. Rather than placing cylinders side by side, as in a conventional parallel twin, Kawasaki engineers essentially stacked 2 complete 125cc single-cylinder engines, one behind the other, like a perfectly choreographed dance of 2 power units. This ingenious arrangement created an exceptionally slim profile and positioned the engine mass extraordinarily low in the chassis, giving the motorcycle handling characteristics that competitors simply couldn't match. This design innovation directly translated to racing dominance. Between 1978 and 1982, the KR250 secured 8 world championships in Grand Prix racing. South African rider Cork Ballington mastered the machine first, capturing both the 250cc and 350cc world titles in 1978 and 1979. German ace Anton Mang continued the legacy, claiming the 250cc championship in 1980 and both class titles in 1981. The KR250's collectible mystique stems from its extreme exclusivity. Unlike most collector motorcycles that were once available at dealerships, the true KR250 Grand Prix racers were never sold to the public. With fewer than 100 examples ever produced, they remained strictly the property of factory racing teams and a handful of exceptionally well-connected importers and direct factory relationships. The 249cc engine produced 49 horsepower at 10,000 RPM while maintaining a featherweight 293-pound dry mass, creating a substantial performance advantage on the track. Though Kawasaki eventually released a road-going version in 1984, inspired by the tandem twin concept, the genuine Grand Prix machines remain almost unobtainable, but have been recently sold for $65,000. 1982 Kawasaki KR500. Imagine racing in the premier 500cc class with the machine packing the most powerful engine on the grid, but somehow never quite reaching the top step of the podium. That's the fascinating paradox of the Kawasaki KR500, another racing motorcycle not available to the public, whose technological brilliance was undermined by fundamental design flaws. After conquering the smaller classes, Kawasaki set their sights on the prestigious 500cc Grand Prix category in 1980 with an engineering marvel that left competitors both impressed and puzzled. At the heart of this ambitious machine sat a square-4 two-stroke engine utilizing sophisticated rotary disc valves, a configuration that produced approximately 120 horsepower while creating a distinctive exhaust note that echoed through padlocks across Europe, representing cutting-edge power development for its time. The KR500 featured a revolutionary aluminum monocoque chassis, a radical departure from conventional frame designs of the era. This unibody approach promised increased rigidity while reducing weight, a pioneering concept that influenced future motorcycle design. However, the execution faltered. Cork Ballington, Kawasaki star rider, famously noted the bike was about 40 pounds too heavy and the wheelbase 6 inches too long, critical flaws that undermined a biker's cornering ability and acceleration. Even with all that, the KR500 remains an extremely coveted bike today, with some examples selling for as much as $110,000. Kawasaki's engineers responded with determination. The 1981 version received a significantly lighter monocoque chassis and refined aerodynamics. By 1982, they abandoned the monocoque concept entirely, replacing it with a spine frame that dramatically improved handling characteristics. Yet they retained the increasingly outdated 16-inch front wheel when competitors were already transitioning to 17-inch designs offering superior tire technology and grip. The KR500 occasionally revealed glimpses of brilliance. Ballington secured podium finishes at both the Dutch and Finnish Grand Prix events, tantalizing moments suggesting championship potential within reach. This unrealized promise adds to the bike's mystique. Kawasaki abruptly withdrew from Grand Prix racing after the 1982 season, leaving enthusiasts to wonder what this flawed genius might have achieved with just one more season of development. 1988 Honda VFR 750R RC30. While Kawasaki abandoned their Grand Prix dreams, Honda was taking a vastly different approach to competition, creating what would become the crown jewel of Japanese motorcycle collecting. The Honda VFR 750R, better known by its internal designation RC30, debuted in 1987 as essentially a hand-built racing machine with lights and a license plate. The RC30 emerged from Honda's burning desire to dominate the inaugural World Superbike Championship, with every aspect of its design prioritizing performance over practicality. At its heart, a 748cc V4 engine featuring titanium connecting rods and gear-driven camshafts. This engineering masterpiece produced 112 horsepower and 53 pound-feet of torque, modest figures by today's standards, but delivered with exceptional precision. What truly elevated the RC30 was its extraordinary build quality. Each motorcycle demanded artisanal precision on two wheels, assembled by Honda's most skilled technicians. The revolutionary single-sided pro-arm swing arm, the first ever on a Japanese production motorcycle, allowed for faster wheel changes during endurance races. The quick-release front fork system enabled racers to swap front ends in minutes rather than hours, while the twin-spar aluminum frame delivered handling precision that translated directly to faster lap times. This technology commanded a staggering $15,000 in 1988, equivalent to a new car, immediately creating exclusivity. Honda's limited production run of just 4,800 units worldwide between 1987 and 1992, with only 316 motorcycles reaching American shores and 32 to Canada, cemented its rarity and justifies today's extraordinary value of a whopping $120,000. The RC30's meticulous engineering paid dividends on the track. Fred Merkel captured consecutive World Superbike Championships in 1988 and 1989, directly validating Honda's approach to building what was essentially a race bike with license plates. The machine also dominated at the Isle of Man TT. Its revolutionary design cemented its reputation as the ultimate production racer of its era. This competition success, combined with its extreme rarity and technological significance, has created the perfect collector storm.